the McKinney Boyd mock trial team is going to the state competition.
I'm not surprised that we're going to state. I'm excited, but I am not surprised because I know how hard these kids have worked. They've seen the competition in the past that we face in our region, and they knew what we had to do, and they stepped up and they did it.
Mock trial at McKinney Boyd. Let's examine the evidence.
Mock trial is this yearly competition where we're given a case made up by some kind of board in Dallas, and each year we're given this case around mid-October and we're told to prepare for it, and we have to portray the lawyers on both sides, the plaintiff and defense if it's a civil case, or prosecution and defense if it's a criminal case. We have to also prep the witnesses, so the witnesses have to become each character. We're given a series of fact statements, kind of affidavits, and based on that we have to draw up characters for each of our witnesses to portray. And then we go and we face another team. We prepare direct examination questions and cross-examination questions.
Can you describe for the jury Mrs. Colquitt's appearance the day she returned to work?
A typical team will have 3 lawyers, 6 witnesses, and 1 timekeeper. Ours has 4 lawyers, 5 witnesses, and no timekeeper.
So our witnesses become timekeepers.
Has this document been altered in any way?
Well, I didn't write it, but I don't think it has.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to enter Exhibit 5-1 into evidence.
Any objection?
McKinney Boyd economics teacher Jana Bambico established the mock trial team 8 years ago when the school opened.
I really don't have a legal background. I've always been somewhat interested in the law, and at one time I considered taking the LSAT, but for whatever reason I didn't, but it still always interests me.
An attorney advisor helps the team master the legal jargon and comprehend the rules of evidence for trial.
Your Honor, pertaining first to the hearsay, this is an exception to the hearsay rule because it is a record of a regularly conducted activity.
Is it safe to assume that mock trial team members go on to be lawyers someday?
Not really, actually. I don't know if any of us want to be lawyers. I don't really want to be a lawyer.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll rephrase the question. Is mock trial for people who like to argue?
For people who really enjoy logic and asking questions and getting logical answers and I guess
Arguing.
Yeah, sequential.
Arguing.
Yeah. Those are the people who'd find mock trial to be their cup of tea.
Anyone can do high school mock trial. You don't have to have aspirations to be a lawyer to do it.
However, thinking quickly on your feet and listening carefully rake in the points for mock trial competition.
You come in with all these pre-prepared notes and questions and opening, closing statements, and if you just rely on those notes, then you don't score well because it shows that you weren't really paying attention and you weren't listening actively, and you couldn't think on your feet because you don't actually know what's going on in that trial. And the teams that score really well generally listen really well, and they can respond and use what's actually in that trial for their side.
Let's say there's a witness who's testifying about what someone said. That's hearsay, so you would object to hearsay, but then the opposing attorney wants to get it in, so there are exceptions to hearsay. So you have to think about why something is admissible in court, why it's relevant, why it's an exception to things that are generally prohibited, such as hearsay or opinion testimony, and I think that's hard.
Being aggressive has its advantages as well.
Speaking up and speaking loudly and being assertive, those are things that are really challenging for me, but I think mock trial has brought that out in me in a positive manner.
And is there such thing as too aggressive?
Apparently I'm scary, that is cool. But judges are cool with me, so it's fine.
Erin's pretty scary.
She can be scary. Our own witnesses are scared of Erin.
All notes from August are relevant because they go to show the credibility of the doctor in making these treatment notes and how she treats her patient. And I would like to remind the court that credibility is always relevant. And all of the notes from March and April are relevant because they explain the treatment of Campbell Colquitt, and they will make more or less probable whether or not Casey Hogg was in Dr. Stockdale's lobby at the time when Yuri announced Campbell Colquitt's diagnosis.
I'm sorry, but overruled.
March 6th through the 8th is the state mock trial tournament, and McKinney Boyd is the first McKinney ISD team to compete on this level. They know their opponents will be fierce. Fortunately, the Boyd team thrives on groundwork.
Whenever we think of something that hits the nail on the head, when in the trial, where we know that's going to catch a witness off guard, it's just there's so much victory in that, and when you get to execute that in the trial, it's so much fun to see your critical thinking actually work.
all of these teams are very good. And if we don't approach the competition like it's going to be hard and we're going to have to do like everything we can just to make it, then we won't be as polished as we would be otherwise. But there's always something to fix, I think is the point.
Until there's not, and we're just awesome.
No, that's not gonna happen.